Hey, yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys, and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the support of the channel, the views, the subs, all that good stuff. We have Bugle Buster on this episode of World of Tanks in his TL1 LPC on Proc. He sent me this replay, wanted me to take a look at it, and I did so. And I got to thinking about this. It's kind of interesting, actually. Bugle Buster is an average player trending towards being a pretty good player. So I actually, in this case, looked at both his totality of his stats and his recents, and his recents are looking a lot better than the about 49%. But it got me to thinking about that average player that's moving on into being a good to great player. Everybody goes through that cycle. Rarely does somebody just jump into the game and they're all of a sudden good. That happens, but that's kind of the unicorn of people becoming a unicum, I guess, if you will, in the game. It usually takes a lot of effort to learn the mechanics of the game, but the delineator between an average player and a good to great to unicum player is going to be the ability to read the battle, understanding when the opportunities are, and taking advantage of them. So going from that kind of passive-aggressive player idea of I know where to go, but I'm really passive in those positions, to a more aggressive player that understands when it's time to be aggressive, when to take advantage of the flow of the game, how to go and get the damage instead of waiting for the damage to come to them. This is a pretty good example of some of that. So that's a big generalization of going from that average player to good to great player. Anyone can sit here and say, oh, well, you need to read the battle. Okay, noted, but what does that mean? What are some of the examples of that? Because a lot of the average players out there are pretty good at positioning in general, are pretty good at shooting the gun, at picking weak spots, and some of those things. But when it comes to really understanding when it's time to do something, that's where they usually fall down, because they're usually busy being a bit passive, and they don't learn how to get out there, be aggressive, when to move, what needs to be done. So we'll take a look, try to give Bugle Buster some examples here. We are on Proc, like I said. He spawned into the North spawn. He's in his TL1 LPC. And right off the bat, if I see something like this setup where I am top tier, one of 3 tops, and one of them is an artillery, all of a sudden I know I've got a good advantage. As a matter of fact, there isn't a heavy tier 8 on the enemy team or his. So really, he is the big dog on this map. So he's running his offspring tank with the band stuff on it. So we'll watch what he does. He goes ahead and looks like he's headed over here towards the east side. He's going to go up and over the tracks. Now I want you to watch this deployment from the green side, because they're going to leave a critical area uncovered, and it is going to hurt them a little bit. Bugle Buster does a pretty good job of covering for that, and to some extent some of his sort of passive gameplay is because of his team's deployment. So he's headed over to the hill. This is a great tank for the hill. It's got great depression, pretty good turret, decent view range, nice hard hitting gun, decent accuracy. So he can probably do some good work up on this hill, both poking up and over to go ahead and shoot their guys who are back here in this bush, and shoot down here on the 5 line if he gets spots. Now the good news is initially he gets an IS-2 in the middle, so not a bad deployment, minus the crowd of guys over there on the west side not doing much. And you'll see that Bugle comes up here and he finds a really great spot. I might have stopped right there and started shooting a little sooner, trying to fine-tune this shot and keep himself hold down right here. This is a great initial spot, in case you didn't know about it right here. If you can get there in a decently fast tank, there is some cover right there. There is some artillery, so he could take some hits, but it allows him to take some free shots on slow guys or dudes who are camping up on that track right there. The poor KV-3 is wondering what he did to deserve all of this. He gets tracked, gets hit by Bugle again, gets it fixed, and starts to run away, and comes away with it with not many hit points left. So IS-2 is there in the middle doing his thing, but he's taken some serious hits. Now that's why a lot of people don't go there, because with 2 artillery, albeit one's just an M44, the other one is an FV207, you can take a lot of hits. The other problem, though, is more than likely he took some damage from the guys up here on the enemy hill, off of these bushes, potentially up in the flats if they pushed up that much. And right now we don't really have any good SA. It looks like the Super Hellcat's headed up there, and Bugle's going to head up here as well. That big crowd of guys hanging out on the 1-2 line, and then we've got a Scorpion way in the back with a T-30-45. And then it looks like, oh, okay, not bad. We got a lot of guys going to head up this hill, so we should have a pretty good fight. The Cromwell loses his mind, comes up here real high with lots of guns in the game. You had to have known there was 3, 2, 5, 7, however many were up there. Gets absolutely obliterated by these guys. And then we all kind of converge into one spot. So not a great plan right there. I definitely would have maybe shifted to the right. Everyone's trying to get up and get a shot. The Panzer 43 gets in there, but we do some good damage. One of their tanks is near dead. And then we've got a quick look. We find the KV-2. Nicely done. Nice little aim on his turret. And well done. Good knowledge of the bushes. And this is kind of what I'm talking about with an average player, is that they're going to have kind of a good idea on that kind of game mechanic. He moves back, makes there we go, move back, there you go. Makes the bush go solid so that he has much less of a chance of being spotted. Gets in there and gets a little aggressive, gets that super, puts another shot into this guy, and really we're off to the races. We're doing a nice job. 1,300. Our IS-2 died, our Black Prince died over in the 1-2 line, so we are now on our hind foot. We're on our back foot just a little bit. He's got at least 3, maybe 4 facing him right here. What the team really needs is somebody down on the 5-6 line helping figure out where is this T-150. The one thing that Bugle has a huge issue with is if he comes over here and gets spotted, that 150 is going to have shots into his side, and those things hit pretty hard. I would have taken that shot, absolutely. Even if it meant maybe some return fire as I back out, I'd have taken that shot, absolutely, right there. And I don't know if maybe you're thinking, well, I don't want to get spotted, but your team is starting to lose right now. And this is where I'm talking about on reacting to what's going on the game. That it's time to start taking some hit points off these guys. There you go. So nicely done there. We thumped that guy. And right now, I'm going to start thinking, all right, how do I break this hill? How do I get up in here and start taking these guys down? The problem is you've got a full strength Rev and at least 2 or 3 other tanks. So just simply driving up and over is not going to work for you. This Scorpion and this T-34-85 are absolutely crushing you. Shoot this guy immediately and just back out. Just go. I wouldn't even wait until I backed out. I would have absolutely just shot him immediately right there because that was the opportunity. Good news is that the other, was it a Super Hellcat on your side? Yeah, the Super Hellcat got up there too far and got spotted. And now you're still staring down 4 different guys sitting right there. We've got 1,741 damage, 1,067 assist. And unfortunately, to a large extent, you're kind of stuck right here for the moment. You've got to more or less hold your position because you've lost all your allies there. The Scorpion is going to eventually reposition. That's a good kill, getting rid of the 178 Bravo on the other side of the map. But if you count noses, you've got 4 up here. The KV-3, 5, the 156, the 34-85, 7, and the EZ-8, 8. 9, 10 for the artillery. 11, 12, 13, 14 for the dead guys. You basically know where everybody is minus 1 tank. There's the Scorpion. He finally moves up there. Once he gets in position, and hopefully you were watching that, I would get a little bit more aggressive about trying to find some spots on these guys. You're going to have to start trading some hit points potentially to gain some ground on theirs. Now, one thing you can do here is use this guy as armor. Come up behind him and just push that dead tank forward. That'll let him know that you're there, but you might be able to push it up into the bush enough that you can start getting spots on these guys and cover yourself from some of the return fire. I don't recommend pushing dead tanks around a lot, but there are certain situations where it can be highly beneficial. Now there's the Super Hellcat. That's the one you were missing, I believe. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's everybody. So you know what's in front of you. You know what's over on the other side. There goes the EZ-8. Your team's making a little bit of a comeback. There goes the Super Hellcat. And now that the Scorpion's in position back there, I would absolutely start working on these guys. Also, a little bit more looking around to see what's going on. You've got a bit of a tunnel vision thing going on. That's a pretty standard thing for an average to getting better player, is to sort of get tunnel vision on the spot that they're on. We get spotted. We back out. I think this was wise, at least for the moment, because the 150 is a problem potentially. Once I went dark and he went dark, I would start trying to get up there. There's a shot coming in. Looks like the 150's taking pot shots at you. Maybe the artillery went in there. They're going to focus you, and that's just too bad. You've got to do something. This Rev has made a bit of a mistake. I think you can come up here, use this dead tank, and try to work the Rev out of this position. Try to work the Rev out of this position. We're going to back out and this is the passive-aggressive kind of idea I was talking about. You went to a great position, and you're just very passive about it right there. You're going to have to take a few chances to try to get these guys out. And right now, what you're relying on is them making a mistake. Clearly, one is poking up into that bush, probably the Rev, because he's got pretty good gun depression, decent view range. He's able to come up and see you in the open. You can't see him through the bushes right there. Get you again. Now here's the thing. He's poking at you. The reason he can see you is you're not close enough to proxy light him. I'd drive right up there. Just take a little bit of a chance that the 150 might get a hit, but try to catch him poking up there so that this Scorpion can take a shot at him. That's the read the battle part. This is kind of there he is. Bit of a critical, boom. There, you finally got him. He made a bit of a mistake. I don't know if he fired. Did he shoot at you? Maybe you might have actually tried to take a poke at you right there. And that's fantastic. Now we've got one of them down. Absolutely just drive right up there and figure out what's going on up on this hill. You might be able to catch one of the other ones who's moved forward with him or moving around up there out of position. The 30-45 finally moved, and then you find the T-150, and this is exactly right. Right here is what I would have done as well. Just start taking this guy down as best you can. He's way out in the flat, way out in the open. Looks like he's behind the trains there. You might want a little more altitude to take him on. There you go. He drives up into it for you, takes another hit. When I say altitude, you really needed to come up just a little bit more to have a better shot. I don't think you were spotted. I would have at that point immediately moved up. Once he died, you're free. You've got freedom of maneuver up here. There you go. You find this guy. And again, I don't know why you backed out. As soon as I saw him, I'd have pushed in and taken that guy out. Again, shifting to the right, you can use this guy as some cover. You should be able to take that Super Hellcat out. Even if you traded it for a hit, it would have been worth it. Here comes the Scorpion finally moving up in there. You did mention on your note that you didn't follow Scorpion immediately just because you thought it was going to be a little bit exposed, but I'm kind of exposed to what exactly? Scorpion G's over there, 30-45. The KV-3, maybe there was one other guy up here. You've got 100% hit points in a tier 8 medium with decent armor. I think you just go right up and over and kill that Hellcat and keep on trucking. And that really is, that's a great concrete example of good players, of average players becoming better players. You're starting to learn when it is that it's time to press, right? This team is starting to collapse. You've got to go get the hit points. Scorpion gets it. Scorpion is pushing hard. He's looking for hit points. He knows he probably can't get taken out of the game. He has a better chance of being taken out than you do because a couple lucky hits by the Artie with some pens, and he's all of a sudden out of hit points, plus the other Scorpion G shooting. So you should be with or ahead of the Scorpion G right there. This is cleanup on aisle 2 time. You're trying to gobble up as many hit points as you can. We're going to speed this up. You actually do track them down here. Up and over the hill, coming at them. And again, see, this is really interesting to me because you shift and you use these bushes, and I'm kind of thinking, well, why? What's the point? The Scorpion has driven across this entire open area. He hasn't lost a single hit point. Nobody sees him yet. They will soon. That proves that there's just nobody here. If they didn't see the Scorpion go, there was no reason for you to jump into a bush. And this is pretty typical of the average to player trying to get better, always being so very defensive and not really taking a look at the entirety of the battle and saying, all right, doesn't matter if I lose some hit points. I need to hurry on in here. What I'd really like to do is be ahead of the Scorpion so that I'm the one spotting these guys and getting the hit points for spotting and assistance. Nice shot right there. And I'm betting you the Scorpion ends up with assist damage right here. And that's worth experience and credits. Push on in here. Go find these guys. It's always fun to watch Artie get nuked. We blap him. Somebody else kills him. Somebody else being artillery. 3,206 damage, 1,551 assists. Nicely played overall. I just thought it was a good example of a few things in there where you should have pressed a little harder. And that's just that thing you've got to start learning from being that average player to being very defensive. And I've talked about this quite a bit in the past. It's really a cycle of we start the game and we're at low tier and we rage around and shooting and it's all kinds of fun. Then we realize we're getting waxed by invisible tanks and people in positions we didn't know were there, people getting to strong positions before we do. So then we go highly defensive. Then we sort of learn where some of the front positions are that are tenable for us, and we go there. But we really have a hard time once we become an average player learning how to finally start to break out of that shell and get to the place where we can start to read the battle and react to the battle and be a little bit more aggressive. When those times are, where those times are. What does the situation on the map look like? What's my team doing? What's the enemy team doing? What are the opportunities that are presented to us? And do we notice them in time to take advantage of them? And I think this was a pretty good example of that. Because while it was a good game, there were definitely some other things that could have gone on there that would have helped you make it a lot better game. So thanks for sending that in. I do appreciate it. Really, at the end of the day, this is one of the biggest things this channel is set up to do, help brand new players get to average players and helping average players who are turning into good to great players get to that point. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. Everybody else, thanks for coming by. We will see you.